In the last episode of the Leader's Kitbag, I discussed the idea that not every group of people in the workplace is actually a team. And just because we call a group of people a team doesn't mean it actually is one. And if you missed that episode, then you should absolutely go and watch or listen to it next. It's only 5 minutes long and it absolutely will provide you with value. In this episode of Leader's Kitbag though, I'm going to share with you some practical tips to help you get the best from the team, work group or collection of individuals that you happen to be leading. Hey, I'm Ben Morton. I'm a leadership trainer, executive coach and keynote speaker. And if you, your team or wider organisation needs help or support in any of those areas, then do please get in touch, as I would absolutely love to hear from you. So, to today's episode of the Leader's Kitbag. Here's a quick story from my past to help you understand how we need to and how we can change our approach to leadership and management depending on what it is we are actually leading. I once had a boss that me and another colleague both reported into. Me, my colleague, our teams, and our boss together formed a team. That boss also had another manager who reported into them, who in turn led a small team. Together, that individual, their team, and my boss were another team. And finally, that boss had another individual that reported into them, whose work had absolutely nothing to do with the rest of us reporting in to my boss. Now, bear with me on this. If we go back to the definition of a team that I explored in the last episode of the Leader's Kitbag, you'll remember that a team has 3 key characteristics. In teams, there are shared goals. There is a degree of interdependence and there is mutual accountability. So, by this definition, we can see that what my boss at that time was actually leading was 2 teams along with 1 additional direct report. Now, the mistake that they made, which is a really common mistake for leaders and managers, and to be fair, it's a mistake that I absolutely would have made at that stage in my career too. But the mistake was to think that they had 1 team. Now, what that meant in reality is each week we would squeeze into a poorly lit meeting room with no natural light that was too small for all of us to fit in. I would give my update as requested on what my team was doing. And then on a particularly busy day, maybe when I was under pressure or not at my best, I'd sit there listening to the updates from the other team members, from my colleagues, that had absolutely nothing to do with me. And I'd sit there getting increasingly frustrated because of all the things I knew I could be getting on with instead of listening to these updates that seemed and felt totally irrelevant. You see, this is what happens when we use team building tools, structures and routines when we don't actually have a team. Instead, in that situation, we could have had less frequent all hands meetings with the key company-wide updates. Or you know what? We could even have got those company-wide updates by email. We could have then had shorter team meetings in our actual teams. We could have had weekly lunches and occasional nights out together for the sake of that all-important human-to-human connection. That is really important to give a broader sense of belonging in the workplace. But we could have skipped working on effective collaboration and communication styles, when in reality there was no need for us to collaborate. So, as you can see, having people reporting into you doesn't always mean you have a team. And that means we need to think really carefully about how we structure meetings and how to best use people's most precious resource, time. That's it for this episode of the Leaders Kitbag. Remember, if you need help or support with training, coaching, or a keynote speaker for your next conference or event, then do please get in touch. Other than that, look after yourself, look after the people you've got the privilege and responsibility to lead. And until next time, lead on.